Hi, friends, and welcome. I am your hot mess of a host, Mary Hendricks from The Very Merry Life, your new mom friend that soon will feel like an old friend. Twice a week, every week, I want you to come and join me as we cover moments in motherhood, marriage, sex, and more. Some moments worth savoring, others worth surviving, all with a laugh, pep talk, or F-bomb every now and again. I want you to come as you are, but leave the sugarcoating behind because, guys, we know how sweet it already is. So what do you say? Up for picking some daisies? All right. Hello, everyone. I am pumped. So this is a special episode for a numerous amount of reasons, but my guest, as you saw, her name is Claire. I want to call her maiden name because that's how I have her in my cell phone. And that is because she is one of my best friends from college and just a great connection that I haven't seen in many years, but we've always kept in touch. And yeah, we're gonna chat today.
It'll be a fun chat for that reason. The stories I have on you, I won't drop them here.
You probably could. We could have so much shit. Oh Lord, we can cover a lot. But okay, Claire, give yourself a second to say hello and introduce yourself, and then we'll get on into it.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Claire Isenthal, or as Mary knows me as Claire Pickett, but I've since graduated to Claire Isenthal, and I am a mother of two youngins, almost 4 and almost 2. So life is pretty crazy. I am coming out with my debut novel on October 3rd. So here to chat with Mary about that and what that journey's been and what it's looked like, which has been pretty crazy. And yeah, I just quit my full-time job to pursue this and taking that plunge, and hopefully it works out. We're manifesting that it does. So
it will manifest. You got to put it out to the universe. I'm a big manifester, affirmation type of person.
I am too. You know, I just think
I feel like it works. I don't think it hasn't yet failed me.
Yeah.
If that's when thinking about it. You read You're a Badass. Is that the book?
No,
You're a Badass. Have you read that? Read
Okay.
that. It's interesting. There's a part in it where she goes, and it's about like how you talk and putting it out the universe. But her whole thing is you are a badass. You just have to believe that right now. But her big thing that she always says is like, for example, when you're out parking and you're at a parking lot and you're trying to find an empty spot to put your car in, and it looks like there's nowhere to go. You basically just say, I'm going to find a spot. And I swear it works every single time.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to do it.
It's not like magic. It's not magic, but for some reason, I think it's just because you keep hope, and eventually you find a spot and you're like, oh, look,
there it is.
It works out.
It also, I think, makes you have an open mind. It forces you to, I think so often we're the ones that get in our own way, and we're the ones that prevent ourselves from believing in ourselves and from manifesting in the first place. And so it's like, once we actually get rid of that barrier, it's like, oh, all of a sudden there's so many more options that are at your disposal. It's like the world has no limit. And it's because we limit ourselves. It's just crazy.
Oh, absolutely. My favorite affirmation, and then we'll get into it, is I don't seek, I attract. Whatever belongs to me will simply find me. I love that one. Someone taught me that one, and I taught it to a few of my girlfriends here. And I told them, I said, tape it to like your fridge, tape it to your mirror, say it every morning, and then get ready for shit to change. I swear by it. It's just because it's the energy that you put out. It's going to come back in, but you have to do the work. You can't just sit. You just have to put the work out. So,
but I mean, it's been so cool. Like on that same vein, Mare, to see you and what you've grown here and this community that you've built, and you're so like what you've attracted from that has been just, you know, I mean, almost like I got emotional talking about, but just so proud of you because you're really making a difference. Like you are making a difference out there to so many people, and it's because of what you're attracting and bringing in. And I love it.
It's a funky, and it's fun watching you do the same. I remember when you sent me your book and I did the review.
Yeah.
And I got emotional when I was on my stories, but what's funny is like being in this space and just like, cause you know me and you know my college years and you know all of that shit and stuff like that. But, it was hard. Like there was a lot of hard moments, like going back where I think on all of that and I'm like, all of that has led to this. Totally. And I'm not glad for that, but it's all come together, and it's like that pinnacle moment of being like, oh,
yeah,
okay, it makes
sense. It does.
It makes sense
Yeah,
now.
it does. Even from like you being with Kev and like, your wedding and your children. And it's like, it does make sense. It makes sense to where everything led to the next.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it also, not to keep on talking about the manifesting, but I really have faith too that like things happen for a reason and unfold as exactly as they should. And so I also think maybe I'm just telling myself that because I just quit my very stable, cushy full-time job. And I'm like, it'll all work out. But
How was that okay, let's
yeah,
start at the beginning.
let's start
So
at the beginning.
you were working full time and you were doing the mom thing and you were just doing all of that.
Yeah.
So how was that?
So Mary and I actually, for a little bit of context for people listening, Mary and I did an Instagram live, I think in the midst of a pandemic. And at that time, Mary, I was part-time and I had just gotten an agent for my book and we were going on submission in order to try to get a publisher to pick up the book and buy it. And so we were kind of talking about that process and talking about motherhood along with that. And I only had William at the time and, Haley was definitely not in the picture. Fast forward to after the birth of my second daughter and coming back from maternity leave, my job share partner, because I was part-time, left the company and I worked for Google in ad sales and I've been there for almost 9 years. And I feel like I've kind of grown up there and I really do love the company. But I going back full time was something I really wasn't prepared for, especially becoming a mom of two. But Justin, my husband, he was miserable in his job and he worked at Salesforce. So we both worked in tech. And long story short, after a series of decisions and after a series of childcare not working out, we made the decision for Justin to quit his job and be the full-time caretaker while I continued to work until he found something new. And then I would eventually leave my job because at this point, after the pandemic, we moved back to Carmel, Indiana to be closer to family. So I wasn't in Chicago. I wasn't able to go into the office anymore. Tech was pushing us to go back into the office. And so I was the one who was working while also trying to get the book ready for publication, while also trying to be a mom of two and be very present. And I think that was really what showed me that I can't do it all and that this word balance isn't something that's real or achievable and that it puts this unfair expectation and pressure on us. And so to wrap up the story, Justin, he ended up finding a new job and loving it. And then so I ended up putting in my resignation and just taking the plunge to really focus on marketing and selling the book and being at home with the kids. So here we are.
And how was that side of things of being home? I'm always curious because I always love hearing the two sides.
I know. Okay, how is that side? I am so happy. I am so happy that I did it. It's so challenging in different ways. So I love that I can focus, that I don't have the ever-present pings and work calls and emails hanging over my head, and that I can put my sole focus and attention on the children. But what I think I found is that, I'll have all this time to do my book stuff. And then I've realized, no, you have no time. I have less time to get the book stuff done. And so you've talked about this a lot and I'd love to hear your perspective on it. But I finally hit this breaking point where I said, I need help. Like I need to get a babysitter because I have to treat this like a full-time job, marketing and promoting the book, if I want this to be successful. And so that's been a recent moment for me where I've started getting a babysitter because I need time. You know?
Well, and that's my biggest thing. Like I talked about summer being over and I'm ready for school.
Yeah.
And that's my big push is like, yesterday I talked about it. I was like, it's okay if you're excited for summer to be over. Like if you're excited for your kids to get back into school and get into routine and you have a little bit more time to get X, Y, and Z done, there is nothing wrong with that. And for me, like I have a babysitter. She's downstairs with my kids now, but she's more of a mother's helper. She only comes over while I'm home. And she comes over, but she leaves for college in a week. So then I have no one again. And that's great. But my parents are gone during the summer. So my parents go up to Martha's Vineyard. I don't have them. My in-laws, I don't have them.
Mhm.
I don't have a village, but yet I have this, and this has turned into a job
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful, but, yeah, I don't have any time to do it. And
Yeah.
it's hard and it's
Yeah.
weird because and for you, like you're now considered a stay at home mom,
Yep.
but also you're
Mhm.
working and
Yeah.
doing something, but then sometimes I feel bad saying that I'm working because I'm not doing the out of the office commitment and like that grind. So I'm like, I'm in a weird spot.
Yeah, but you are still bringing in an income from this. Like I'm not even bringing in a paycheck anymore, which is where I kind of felt this tug and this pull where, to get help and to get people to kind of help. But, we've talked about this a lot, like outsourcing certain parts of your life in order to free up time to do the things that you love or need to do for yourself. And, like getting a house cleaner
Yeah.
or having, a babysitter even for like 2.5, like I only have them come for like 2.5 hours. So you cram as much in as you can. But, you just have to hope, I think, that it pays off.
It does.
That
Well,
it's
it
going to pay
totally
off,
will. It totally will. That's my biggest
Yeah.
thing with asking for help. And, even if it's not
Yeah.
it's hard when you're not financially bringing in something that is such a huge kick at first. And you
Yeah.
know what
It
that felt
is.
like. And I felt that because when I stopped working and was home with the kids, and that was it hits you for a little bit. And I think even now, I think a lot of like Kevin and I's arguments would come from that because I just felt it's a hard
Yeah.
reality to grasp this idea and of value and how that's like a
Mhm.
financial value. And we kind of let that
Mhm.
blanket everything else. Um,
Mhm. Yeah, it's so true. We do that.
yeah, and what's and what I try to remind myself is it will pay off because if you're hiring someone, even if you're not bringing something in, so you can better yourself in some way, and or you're investing right now, you're investing your time and energy in hopes that you get a return
Mhm.
from it.
Yes. Exactly.
So it's worth it. But
Exactly.
even if
Yeah.
it's not a financial gain that you gain out of all this, you're still gaining
You're so
like
right.
your mental sanity, like
Yeah.
your well-being,
Fulfillment.
whatever it might
Yeah.
be. That way, when you
Yeah.
show back up to your responsibilities, you're
Yeah.
better for it.
Yeah.
So
And I think if I didn't try this and I just think I would have so much regret. And I think I look back on the pandemic and I just have I feel like I have so much PTSD from it all. But I also feel like so much good came from it at the same time. And I just learned so much about myself and my priorities and how I want to be spending my time. And even making the decision to move from Chicago back to be closer to family and how much happier it made me and it made my husband to make a decision for ourselves and our family instead of a company and instead of a job it was almost felt revolutionary. And I also think at the same time, looking at, pursuing this dream of mine and being an author, I was sick of putting my time and energy into a company, that even though I love the people dearly that still are there, the company doesn't give two shits about you. And I saw that firsthand in the layoffs, as you might have heard, all the big tech layoffs that were happening this past year and in February, and how Google handled the layoffs, which was to me just quite frankly appalling. And I was like, this company doesn't. It doesn't know me.
you're just a pawn. You're just a player of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just a cog in the wheel, and I'm not going to be investing my time and energy in this for now. If I have to go back to corporate America, I'll go back. But for now, I'm going to be investing in myself, in my dream, and in my
I'm
family,
here for it.
and that's what matters
That's what
to
we're
me.
all about. So,
Yeah,
okay, let's talk about the
yeah,
book because
yeah,
I am pumped about it.
yeah.
So let's.
It's called The Rising Order, everyone, and it comes out October 3rd. I'm so excited for the
It
world to
looks so fancy
experience it.
schmancy too.
It is. It is fancy schmancy. And this is an advanced reader copy. So, the hardback will be out on October 3rd and it'll be available everywhere. So run to your nearest bookstore. I'm all about supporting local bookstores. But if you must order it from Amazon, you can do that too.
I love
I'm
it.
just so excited.
I love it. Okay, so where did you get tell us what the book is, summary of what the book is about.
Yes. Okay. So the book is about a domestic terrorist organization that takes a young woman hostage during a terrorist attack. And they use her to infiltrate her computing company and unleash catastrophic damage onto the city of Chicago. So a lot of it is very influenced by working in big tech, by my time in Chicago, but it sounds really like intense thrillery, but it's actually really not. It's very character driven. It's a page turner, so there's lots of action. It will keep you hooked until the very end. But there's also romance in it, and I wrote the book how I like to read books, and I get very bored very quickly, and so I think it'll capture your attention.
I'm excited. Yeah. I have your copy. I am waiting so I can sit down with the kids not bothering me and when I don't fall asleep, but I have it. And Kev has read it. Kev is reading it.
He
yeah.
did?
Well, he's reading
Is he
parts of
reading
it. So he started it because he's so curious because Kev is all into this stuff. So
I know. And it's got like elements of, his background in it with like, 0-day viruses and stuff like that, but it's not too intense. Like, I don't want people to hear this and think like, oh, it's, spy or techie or whatnot. It's really not. Yeah. It's very much, it's very character driven in a good way. And so a lot of it is about indoctrination. And I think I was very inspired by the violence that is now so prevalent in our society. And it was a way for me to process that and why that's happening. And I think we've become so immune to the violence. And I think that storytelling is a way for us to think about things differently. And so that was really a big key reason to why I wrote the book that I did. And it's also going to be a series. So this is the first book, people. You're going to love it. And then I'm writing the second book right now. So
yay. And maybe it's going to get turned into a movie. That's your hope.
I would love that.
Who would be?
Or a series. I actually am talking to people about that right now, about writing a screenplay. So we'll see. We'll see if anything comes.
Okay. And what actors would be in it? What actors would you envision being in it?
I seriously don't know. That's so funny. And people do ask me that, but I think that I would want it to be people who are not well-known actors and actresses. Okay. Like, have you watched The Summer I Turned Pretty?
No, but I've heard of that.
Oh, it's based on a book by Jenny Han, and it's very different. It's like, young adult, and it's, teen triangle, like romance triangle. And, but I'm obsessed with the show, and Jenny Han, the author, is a very big part of the production and the writing, and she's done an incredible job with it. And all of the actors and actresses aren't known. And I love discovering new people that can just almost fit into the character more.
Yeah. Especially then like a big name where you kind of just only see them for.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Eye-Opening Moments podcasts are real-life stories of adversity, encounters, and perspectives. They are moments that can lift your spirits, give you some food for thought, or move you. For the introspective mind that likes to reflect, discover, and find solutions or meaning in a complex life, listen to Eye-Opening Moments podcasts.
Yeah, you see them for other things. But think about Hunger Games and how Jennifer Lawrence, I think that was her first role, was Katniss.
No, I think it was before that. That was her first big role, but I know she won.
Maybe it was her first big one. But I feel like regardless, for our generation, that was her first big, or at least what I first recognized her in. And obviously she's been in so much since then. And so maybe it'll be a movie, maybe it'll be a series. I hope, one can dream, but
just promise me if you end up doing this and you, for some reason, either cast Zac Efron or what's his name? Chris Hemsworth. You just Chris. I'll be your bagel girl. I'll bring your bagels onto set or some shit.
Oh, you will come. You will come for a day.
I'll be your water boy, and I'll just be like, Chris, Zach, do you want some water?
Would Kevin come with you? Can you see Kev lurking in the background?
I'll just I'll be the water girl, and I'll be pouring it, and then I'll accidentally wear a white shirt and just be like, oops, I spilled a little bit on me. Poor silly me. Meanwhile, it's my mom boobies just down here, just coming on as a turn on.
Yeah, tuck those girls up.
Wear
that push-up top. It doesn't come out often, but it would come out for Chris, for Chris and Zach.
It's fine. It's fine. Well, I love that. Okay, so you already know where we got the idea from. We got all of that. How was the writing process? I think the biggest thing with writing, did it come to you? Did it all of a sudden the storyline come and you just sat down and you're like, okay, I'm going to write this?
No, it did not. And I think, so not to fast forward to the second book, but I wrote this book almost 6 years ago now. So it's been a long time because it's been such a process to write it, edit it, rework it, get an agent, get it published. It's been such a journey. But for the second book, I will say that's another thing that's been beneficial about me quitting my job is for the first time I have room in my brain to actually have creative thoughts again that just kind of came back to me like, so quickly. It was almost alarming. And I think it was because I did have so much less to think about. But for both the first and the second, no, it did not. Neither just came to me. Although what happens and how the story continues into the second book was much more clear because of how the first one ends. But bits and pieces came to me. And I think it's even hard to remember now because it was 6 years ago, but I almost built the story around that and around how the characters got there. And the story is so different from how I started it, those first shitty drafts, but so much of it has changed and evolved over time. And I think, I'm just not, we call them either you plan it out and the planners or they're pantsers who just kind of fly by the seat of their pants. And for the first book, I was definitely a pantser. And then for the second book, I've had to outline it more in order to kind of work in how I did have a lot more foresight into how the second book was going to go. So that one was a lot more structured than the first one. But even now, there's been a lot that has come to me as of recently about how it finishes. And I've actually had to go back and change the outline and change a lot of it because it's changed so drastically.
Interesting. That's crazy.
I know. It's such a crazy creative process.
I worked for an author after I don't know, after I graduated. No, we were still at college. By the way, boiler up, everyone. Claire and I didn't say that. We didn't say where we went to school. Purdue.
I know. How did we not?
I don't know. But when I remember working and I came home for a summer and I worked for an author, and I remember her going through her room and like sitting on the floor and like taking bits of her manuscript and like on the floor, just like going through different like. I don't know what she was doing, but it was all over the floor. And I was like, this is wild. Like just seeing everything.
That's so cool.
Everything in front of me. But I've
had to do that many times when it comes to like moving chapters around. I've had to print it out and literally like have it on the floor and move things around to kind of see how it affects the pacing and the flow and the narrative. And I think though the biggest thing is that there is that misconception that you need to have it all in your head before you actually sit down and write. And so often just starting somewhere is the best way to begin.
Yeah. Well, and I was actually going to say like right now, cause the audience is mainly moms and people that are, trying to find some sort of, community and inspiration and encouragement and stuff like that. So let's say right now, if you're talking to a mom that is hoping to do, not necessarily even this, but just hoping to start, maybe writing is her passion or maybe something is her passion. What would you say? Where would you recommend she start?
Oh, that's such a good question. I would recommend, I think the biggest part of me starting was learning where to find the time to start. Yeah. And I think that's so true for our lives as moms. And I think a big part of that is looking at our days and our weeks and our months and kind of figuring out where are areas of my life I can say no to, because there's a lot of that. And for me, for example, when I first started writing, it was even just saying no at the time to reality television. Like I love watching my Bravo. It is the best way to turn my brain off and just enjoy the drama as it unfolds in front of me. Yep. But I found that when I stopped watching Bravo and when I actually used that time to write, I never regretted it. I didn't miss it. I didn't miss watching that reality television. There's times I still loved doing it, of course, on weekends or just to kind of like totally decompress. Yeah. But I found so much more happiness in devoting my time to this new world. And so I think that the biggest thing is figuring out where you can say no. Yeah. Like
It's your
Where can you
non-negotiables. That's
find?
my always say. It's always like my biggest thing whenever I hear like someone that, especially if you have more than one child or just to have a child in general, you have to come up with your
Yeah.
list of non-negotiables. And one of them has to
Yes.
be on there for you. And I know that's so much easier said than done, but it could be like 5 minutes, like 5 minute rule.
Yeah.
Like start there
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
amp it up if you can, just something. And the
Yeah.
biggest thing, like I had a guest on and she was in my first season of podcasting and it was actually a really great conversation, but she was a mom in her late 40s and whatnot. And she was talking to me how a big thing that she likes to ask people is what brings you joy. And you cannot name another
Mhm.
person or like
Mhm.
another anyone. You can't name another person at
Yeah.
all and then answer what is brings you joy in life. And she told a
Mhm.
story how she had said that to a group of women. And one of the ladies came up to her afterwards and she was like 75. And she had said,
Mhm.
I haven't thought about that in a long time. And she said, the first thing that came to my brain was debate club when I was in high school. And she said that brought me joy.
Wow.
And so
That's
this
so
guest that I had on,
cool.
her name was Marcella Hill. She said, well, then you should
Oh,
see
she's
if
so
you can like join something in your town, like something that, something in a committee, something that brings that out in you. And so that's what she did. And
Mhm.
she came back and wrote like Marcella and was like, this is amazing. Like, this is amazing. Thank you so much. Where it's like, it's stuff like that, where
Oh,
it's
that's
like the
so
root
cool.
of us in
Yeah.
motherhood, where it's like,
Yeah.
we have to
Mhm.
have that. Like, and this book is yours.
Yeah. And I think, one of my other good friends, I love her. She has this creative side to her too, but she doesn't quite know. And I think often this is a problem with us moms too, when so much of our lives are consumed by our children is, well, what is it that's calling to me? I don't even know what it is. So I don't even know where to start. Like maybe I don't like writing. Maybe I don't like painting. Maybe I don't like poetry and so I have this friend and she just tries everything.
Yeah.
She literally tries everything from making t-shirts to making candles to painting pottery to trying all of these different outlets to see what sticks. And I think if we also put all this pressure on finding the thing, it takes away the joy from even finding it. So just kind of even exploring, I think, is sometimes half the fun.
Yeah. I always,
Trying to
we
try
always
something
laugh
different.
at my mom. I can say like with my parents that I'm so glad my parents did this, but we always laugh at it now.
I love your mom. I miss her.
She's great. But she, as kids growing up, like, like when you're in middle school, elementary school, high school, like you just you have all these options in front of you. And we always used to say it's the curse of the Christmas ornament, because anytime we would pick up anything, so like I started playing clarinet, my mom bought me an ornament for it. But if she ever bought an ornament, we would quit it.
Oh no, are you serious? Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh.
So we have all of these ornaments that we pull out every Christmas and we're like, oh, look, it's a violin. Whatever happened to that?
Oh,
like what? And
never lasted.
cheerleading, like all of these things. So we're like, oh, we're not going to buy any more ornaments. But I'm so glad that my parents did that, because I bounced from thing to thing to thing. And it just, I mean, even after I graduated, we went again, we graduated, I came home and then I worked in Martha's Vineyard as a hostess. And then I worked in pharmaceuticals and then I hated that.
Yeah.
And then I quit and went and worked for a company for a month before I quit that. And then I worked as a personal and then I sold furniture and then I worked as a personal trainer. And then
you're so much like my sister. She did the exact same thing.
I think I'm going to have her on. I think I'm going to have Emily on.
I know. You should. You guys would have such a great time. But yeah, it's so true. It's just kind of, it's all a part of the journey. And I think it's interesting too, because, we're obviously both the same age. We're around 33, around give or take, or exactly 33. Yeah. I don't know why I said around, but I remember thinking in my 20s, I'd have everything figured out by now. And Lord knows, nowhere close to that. And nowhere close to that. But that's also, of course, part of the excitement. But if you're like me and you really like roots and the unknown really terrifies you, it can be so unnerving to be at this place in this crossroads of your life where you don't know I don't even know what next year will look like, especially with the publication of the book. And
it's actually fun though, but I always think about that, like where it's like, I thought everything would be together. And I'm like, what is that though? Like, what is the idea of everything being together, because I think we have an idea based off what we saw our parents going through.
Yeah.
But yet I don't know if I've ever had this conversation with the parents. I don't think anything was together for like my parents. Like, I don't think we just saw a different side. So like to our kids, your kids probably think like everything is peachy keen.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Because they're just so in their own little worlds. But then, I also think, with my dad, for example, I think he just stuck out so many jobs because that was what you did then. And our generation's almost the first generation as millennials. And we got so much criticism for it where we're kind of like, no, I'm not about that. I'm not just gonna, we get a lot of criticism for bouncing around or whatnot. But I think that we're just not tolerating being unhappy or not finding something that makes us fulfilled, or for prioritizing other aspects of our life other than a traditional job, like our families. And so I don't know. I think it's going to be so interesting to see what happens for the next generation.
Absolutely. It's actually, I'm pumped for it. I even said Kev, because someone had said something about like college savings, and they had asked, and I was like, well, I'm starting to think about that. But I said to Kev, I was like, I kind of hope that college isn't necessary.
I know. I mean, we had the best
time. Like I loved college. Time. Yeah, I loved college. But
it's so expensive and it's so prohibitive for so many people. And for a lot of people, it's like it creates a lot of inequality.
Yeah. So, where I'm like, I just hope that and I think about what I'm doing now. So I'm like, did college have an impact in me getting here? Yes. I think my experience at college did, but it wasn't my education at college necessarily.
I never even took an Excel class in college. Yeah. Never even took an Excel class. And did you major in communication? No, you majored
I majored in professional writing. It was like a stupid major that they had there.
You should be here and I should be there.
Yeah. Except it wasn't even professional writing as in like, I don't know why they called it that, but it was like, there was two routes that you could take. One was like writing dictionaries and like user manuals. And then the other route was like, I think like more design and formatting and literature. And I ended up not doing any of that kind of, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. You went and jumped ahead to the Martha's Vineyard and and then
we just had fun.
The whole journey.
We had fun.
Yeah.
But yay. Well, I'm pumped. So I'm going to put the link for everyone that's listening. I'm going to put your link for pre-ordering, because obviously you guys are going to be hearing this on I think we had said end of September. So whenever day you're hearing this, Claire's book is coming out next week. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put the order form in the show notes. Please go check her out. In the meantime, I'm going to be reading this puppy. And that way, when it does come out, or when this episode comes out, I'll be getting on my stories and giving a real review.
And can you interview Kev? Interview Kev and get Kev's thoughts on it.
I will.
And that's the thing that I actually do love about the book, is I think it will really interest both men and women, even though women are traditionally the ones who read the most fiction.
Yeah.
But if you want to have a good book to have conversations about with your significant other, then this is it.
I love it.
Book chat at dinner.
Agreed. Yay. Okay. Well,
yay.
Everyone.
Okay. So anyway, yes, everyone, please buy my book. Like I said, local bookstore preferably, but of course it's available on Amazon, and I can't wait for you to read it. And please feel free to reach out to me and let me know your thoughts on my social media. Mary, you can include that too. I'm getting into TikTok now, Mary.
Ooh, good.
I know I sound so old, but watch out, world.
Dude,
watch out, TikTok.
I feel old on whenever I get on there, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because I'm still trying to figure that out. Instagram, I know, but Instagram we've known for a while. So I just, Yeah.
It's the one thing that's appealing to me, and I haven't really started, but the one thing that's appealing to me is that people don't know me on there. So I'm like, I don't care what you guys think about me when I put stuff out there and see what sticks.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a little liberating to go into it and be like, I don't have to worry about being judged or censor myself. Or
I mean, you will get judged, but you don't care because no one. You don't know anyone, and no one knows you. So
I don't know who you are. So you think what you want.
Yeah, have fun. I don't know you.
Do you get trolled on it? Aren't Gen Zers supposed to be like nicer?
No. Depends. With mom content, yes and no.
Oh.
Yes and no. Unfortunately, I've run into Gen Zers are I'll be curious to see what they do with having babies.
Yeah, are they even moms yet? Yeah, I mean, obviously,
I
of
don't
course,
know.
there's
What
some, but
generation is Gen Z? What years are Gen Z? Is my sister Gen Z? They could be.
yeah, they could be.
Like
Or she could be like a very young
Gen
millennial.
Zs
I think she's
are mid to late 1990s and early 2010s
mid-to-late.
birthdays. So the oldest Gen
Mid-
Z is 96. So yeah, that's my sister's age. So they're 27. So yeah, they could be having
Okay.
babies.
Okay, yeah, totally. They definitely, yeah. Sorry, guys, for not knowing your
Yeah.
generation.
But yeah, no. So like on there, I either get the children deserve to be seen and not heard type of mentality with the younger crowd, or it's a lot of like projection. Unfortunately, like I had a comment the other day left on me saying that I'm excited for school to start up again. Someone commented saying, "Why do y'all even bother having kids if you hate them so much?"
Yeah, that's exactly what I said in my reel.
I was like, okay. Oh, and I like, someone was like, Mary, why are you so nice? Because I responded back to him. I was like, I'm so sorry that someone made you feel that way. I was like, as a mom, I'm so sorry. Because clearly, like, that's what you interpreted with this. And someone must have made you feel like that.
Yeah, that's taking the high road, Mary.
Yeah, I know.
I remember the one this summer, the one that like threw me that people that you got some backlash on that was just so absurd was the stupid lollipop. That was so, I wanted to like punch people.
And that actually drove me nuts because I mean, first of all, those lollipops, those dumb lollipops, if you guys don't know this, I put up a reel and it wasn't like a typical, I was sitting with my mom on the beach with the kids in front of us. And Haley was fussy. So it was like, I dug through my diaper bag and I pulled out a dumb lollipop that's been in there because the pediatrician gives them out. So I grab them and I throw them in my diaper bag. It's candy. I don't think anything of it. And so I handed one to Haley, and because it was hot, we were on the beach, I pulled the wrapper off. And as I'm pulling off, because it kind of melted, I noticed that the ball of the lollipop is coming off. And it like literally came off whole and the stick is out. And I'm like, that's dangerous. I was like, I may have not even noticed and handed that to her. And then I went to a few of the other ones. And then my mom always brings like Tootsie Roll Pops and things like that to the beach. Yeah. And we went to those bag and we pulled them. All of them came off.
Oh, wow. And so, and I saw that and I appreciated that because I thought the exact same thing.
And my mom and I are sitting next to it. My mom was the one, she was like, Mary, you should put that up on Instagram. And I was like, okay. Yeah. So I sat there on the beach and I posted it and I was like, I'm just going to share this right now. And it was a big mom content creator. It was a mom content creator that I love following, who has a really large following on TikTok, a large following on Instagram, who commented saying something very snarky where she was like, I've never given my kids these because what kind of idiot thinks that giving a kid with like a ball on a stick is a smart idea? It was like, it was very like, it was not nice. Like it's one thing to be like, this is why it's one thing if you say back, you know what, this is why, you know, I've always had an unsettling feeling about this idea.
Yes,
but it's one thing to make you
or like this is what scares me about the candy.
Yeah, and I've heard messages like that. That makes sense. But for you to say that a parent is stupid
or an idiot
because of that, then that's where I draw the line. And I was like, that's really fucked up. But the new ones now are like, that has red dye 40 and whatever. And I'm like,
well,
like enough. Don't eat them.
Also, there's not enough consistent studies that have enough evidence that actually showcase a change of behavior because of red dye 40. You can cut that out if you want, but I'm just saying that I've done a lot of research on it.
Well, no shit. I'm like, I'm so over. It's that stuff.
The tiny little like lollipop you're giving that has enough red dye. I mean, anyways.
No, I agree with that. No, everyone's lost their freaking mind on social media. That's where there's no winning. There's no winning.
There's no winning.
I think that's the thing that bugs me the most is that I know that there's no winning on it because like even this response, you must hate your kids because you want them to go back to school. I'm like, no, I love my kids to the moon and back, but I just wrote that on Threads. I was like, I love my kids to the moon and back, but I can't help but wonder how nice a solo rocket ship ride with a good podcast would be.
One day in my own house, in my own bed, uninterrupted, TV binging.
A rocket ship ride to the moon and back is a 6-day journey.
Yeah, yeah, and in first class seats with like
That'd be
whatever
so
we want to
nice.
watch.
I'm
I
down.
know. I know it was. I know. And I do hate this like villainization. That's probably not a word. So
No, it is. I
apologies
think
for the
so. I
author.
think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, regardless, we're gonna coin it for today.
Yeah.
I just hate that like whatever, what I just said, the villainization of, you know, wanting and needing some time for yourself, and or that moms aren't allowed that.
No, well,
And
someone
that
could look at you for writing this book and taking time away from your kids and say that you're selfish.
yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yep. And so when really, you know, I'm so much of why I'm doing this is to create a better life for them and to kind of show them that I have taken risks and I'm following my dreams and that so much of this is for them.
Well, I always think about that too, because it's such a, people lose themselves so drastically in motherhood. Like I've been there, like I have been there, and I'm sure you've been there. At some point you kind of just sit there and you're like, oh, like this is my world now. And you don't know how to stand out outside of it, because you want to be a mom. Like I wanted to be a mom and I want that title and I'm proud to be that. But also I want something for myself. And I don't know how that teetering of being told like, no, you need to spend consistent time with your kids in order to be a good parent. But if you spend time away from them, then you must hate them. And it's like, no, because what would you prefer? Me spend every waking moment, give up on everything that has made me. And then my kids learn down the road that that's what they did. Because I think that is why the younger generations now are so scared of having kids.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. It's because it just seems so extreme, like all in or nothing. Yeah. And you know, that's not how it has to be.
No, well, I had someone message the other day or left a comment on I made like a reel once and it was just like, did you check on me? And it was like this idea that when you have a baby, like for a lot of people, when you have a baby, sometimes you don't hear from anyone anymore and your life has changed. And if if you're the first amongst your friends to have kids, it's just different.
When you're in this swirl of hormones.
And someone commented and she said, this makes me not want to have kids. Because all I see on Instagram is how mental health declines and how life isn't fun anymore. And it's so bad because I said in my stories, I was like, when I get a comment like that, sometimes I think good, but not because I want you to I don't want anyone to ever reconsider having kids. If that's what you want, I don't ever want to scare anyone into it. I'm just glad good because it means that you are seeing enough and people are getting loud on there's a lot of shit that needs to change. Like that's the thing that drives me nuts is, you don't have to preach to moms that we need to love, that we don't love our kids. You're not, we love our kids. You're not, you don't have to convince us. It's everyone else that you need to convince. And if you want us to really enjoy this, because give us time after we have kids to be home with our kids and get us help and make childcare not so freaking expensive.
I know. And I think it's just one of those things that, especially if you don't have kids, that you just can never know until you know. And, I experience that with family who don't have kids. And I think that's another reason why my sister and I have become even closer in parenthood, as we both become parents, is because there's just so many shared experiences and there's just so much you just get that you can't understand until you've experienced it firsthand. And it's impossible to expect that of somebody, to know what someone's experience is without having lived it. But it's just one of those moments when you're like, oh, you'll see. Yeah. Like you'll see, you'll understand one day. Like even if just for a moment.
Yeah. You'll understand one day. And even if you don't, you could just like stand there. You don't have to say anything. Like that's my biggest thing that I always tell everyone. I'm like, you don't have to like know it to just listen. That's all we ask for. We just want you to listen and just not tell us that we need to suck it up or shut up or count your blessings. Count your blessings.
I feel so, it's like I feel so fortunate. I feel so lucky, but like things can coexist. I can love my kids and have so much fun with them, but also just be tired of hearing, mommy, watch, mommy, mommy, pull down my pants, mommy, wash my hands. Hey, this one's like running around naked. It's like,
That was Spencer today. Spencer's new thing is just to say my name and not say anything afterwards. And I'm folding laundry. He's like, mommy. I'm like, what? And then he was like, He just goes like silent. And I'm like, what? And then he'll go into the other room and go, Mom. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, what do you want? I was like, stop saying my name if you don't need anything from me.
I literally had to be like, William, eyes on you. My eyes are on you. They can't be taken off. I'm watching. I can't watch any harder. I can't watch you any harder, William.
No. Oh God. We need it. We need a college reunion one of these days.
I know. We really do. Everyone's just so
busy.
Yeah. We're all kind of in the thick of it, but
that's all right. One day.
And that's why it's nice. It is nice to be like close to some of our sorority sisters who live here, but it is, but I think our group's still really spread out with you and, New Jersey, and then Kate and Erica in Cincinnati and Lindsay in New York. And so everyone's everywhere.
But awesome.
The girls that just got it.
Awesome. So
awesome. Okay.
As always,
thanks for having me on. And I love you. And I've been so in awe of you and what you're doing here. And I think so many other people are too. And that's why they're here too. So
another episode down. Thank you all so much for listening. If you loved today's episode, I would be so appreciative if you would leave a rating and review. I cannot begin to tell you how much those mean to me, but also how much they help me get in front of more eyes and more ears. As always, be sure to check back every Tuesday and Friday for a new episode, whether it's an episode with me and my husband, me and Katie, or just another incredible, amazing guest. Stay tuned for more honest, real, raw chit-chat. And hey, do me a favor before you go. Remind yourself how amazing you are, how enough you are, how special you are. And boy, oh boy, I sure am glad to have you here. Thanks, friend.